Hey everybody, it's Tyler here. I am a CNA in Kansas, and I just noticed that a lot of people lately on social media have been talking about what not to do with gloves and inappropriate ways to use gloves, but I've seen very few people talking about proper glove usage. So I thought that this would be a good opportunity to spread that information a little bit. I have basic PPE training and 5+ years of experience, so hopefully my advice will be helpful to someone. Alright, so first I want to talk about when you should use gloves, because obviously determining that determines whether or not the rest of the information is important at all. So there are basically, I think, two criteria for what is an appropriate time to use gloves. Situations where you'll be coming into contact with one object or person. Also, situations where you do not have access to sanitizing products. And I think the reason why both of these are important is because if you're coming into contact with more than one person or more than one object, you're going to be cross-contaminating between those things, and that's not what you want. It defeats the purpose of using the gloves in the first place. Secondly, most of the time, even if you are only going to come in contact with one person or one object, you would be able to wash your hands before and after and sanitize surfaces. The times when I would say that you should not do that and use gloves instead are when you don't have access to those sanitizing products. In almost every scenario, best practice is to bring sanitizing wipes with you and sanitize something before you touch it. So, like if you're going to go to the grocery store, wipe off that handle on the grocery store cart before you proceed. So now we can get to the procedure of putting your gloves on. So we're gonna need a mask, hand sanitizer, and obviously your gloves. Obviously this video is just talking about putting the gloves on, but I'm including the mask because it's an important part of the procedure if you have a mask. So for this example, I assume that you're about to get out of your car and go into the grocery store. So the first thing you want to do is actually step out of your car. The reason you step out of your car first is so that you don't have to touch anything after you're done doing all of this. So next, you're going to grab your mask and put your mask on. This mask was just washed. It is a cloth mask, but it is important to make sure your cloth masks are clean. You put the mask on first to make sure that you don't have to touch anything after you put your gloves on. So next, I'm going to apply hand sanitizer. Make sure it gets rubbed in thoroughly. It would be preferable for you to wash your hands if possible, but since you're getting out of your car, hand sanitizer is okay. So next, you're going to take your gloves, hold them in front of you, careful not to touch anything else, and you're going to slide them on. Make sure you're only touching the bottom portion of the glove if at all possible. These gloves are a little small, so I have to help them out a little bit, but ideal scenario is you are only touching the very bottom part of the glove when you put it on. So now, you'll notice that I'm holding my hand up in the air, and the reason I'm doing that is because now that my gloves are on, I'm not going to touch anything with these gloves other than the person or thing that I put the gloves on in order to touch. So I'm going to, as long as I have this glove on, hold it up where you can see it, because at this point, you need to enter glove mode. So what I mean by glove mode is that as long as you have the glove on, you need to be hyper vigilant and constantly aware of where your hands are. Because if you touch anything, your glove is now contaminated with whatever was on that surface that you touched. So, you might also notice that I did not put a glove on my other hand, and that is because of my next piece of advice, which is that if you're going to go into a grocery store, if you plan to touch anything other than the shopping cart, you're going to want to have a glove-free hand. And the reason why that is so that you don't have to worry about contaminating a glove by touching your phone or touching anything. So what you're going to use your ungloved hand for is literally everything other than pushing the shopping cart. So let's say this pull-up bar is the shopping cart. This is the only thing now that my glove hand can touch. My glove hand is contaminated by the shopping cart, so it only touches the shopping cart. This hand I use to touch anything that I'm going to take out of the store with me. So that includes things on the shelves that you're going to buy. Anything that you touch with this ungloved hand, you should probably wash later. But the reason that I say that you should touch things on the shelves with your ungloved hand is so that you don't contaminate those things with your gloved hand. I would also recommend keeping your credit card, or in this case, your GameStop card for your essential visits to GameStop, separate from your wallet so you can easily take it out without having to use two hands. Alright, so now you've left the store and you just really want to take your PPE off. You're excited to get your mask off, but hold on a second. First you have to take your gloves off. So what's important here is how you take your gloves off to make sure that you're not contaminating everything that you touch. So with your non-glove hand, you're going to take the bottom of your glove from the inside, not touching the outside, which is contaminated, and you're going to pull up over your hand, turning the glove inside out as you go. So you've taken the glove off, and now you have an inside-out glove that you're going to dispose of as quickly as possible. For me, I actually have a trash bag in my car that I would put my glove into. Whatever is easily available for you, I would recommend at least thinking about this beforehand so that you're ready. But you want to dispose of that glove as soon as you take it off. Now that your glove is off, you're going to take your hand sanitizer and wash your hands again. So wash your hands before you put your gloves on and after you take them off. Do not reuse your gloves. That's really important. If you're reusing your gloves, you may as well be just touching everything with your dirty, dirty hands, because that glove is no longer sanitary once you take it off. Alright, so now you've got your gloves off, you can finally take your mask off. We're also going to assume the mask is dirty, but if you're using a reusable mask, try to maybe put it into a sealed bag or something if you have one available. Otherwise, just keep it separate from your other objects and then wash it as soon as you get home. So that's basically the whole procedure. So hopefully this has been helpful advice to people. Not everybody uses gloves on a regular basis, and not everyone is used to the correct procedure for them, so I hope that this is helpful to someone. I just want to say, first of all, if you don't have gloves already, do not go out and buy gloves. That's just going to limit the supply further for medical professionals who actually need them. If you absolutely need gloves, if you have some reason why you cannot avoid using gloves, like let's say you have to come in contact with an elderly person or someone outside your household, that would be a pretty good reason to have gloves. Otherwise, do not go out and buy gloves. Just make sure that you're sanitizing everything that you touch and that you're washing your hands before and after you touch things. Thank you for watching, and be safe.